It began in a hidden Soviet research facility deep underground, far from the world's eyes. The year was uncertain, the Cold War in full swing, and secrecy was paramount. The world above remained oblivious, while deep below, a team of scientists, prepared to push human limits, to explore the boundaries of endurance, cognition, and survival. Their method, a gas capable of keeping humans awake indefinitely, a substance they claimed would allow them to study the human mind without the interference of sleep. The facility was sterile, silent, and cold, its walls echoing with the faint hum of machinery. 5 political prisoners were selected men labeled expendable by the state, their existence considered irrelevant. They were promised freedom after the experiment, a cruel incentive that blurred hope with horror. They were brought into a sealed chamber, equipped with monitoring devices, cameras, and instruments designed to record every heartbeat, every movement, every whisper. The first hours were deceptive in their normalcy. The men spoke with the researchers, joked and laughed. Some even mocked the process, confident they would survive a few sleepless days. But subtle changes began to appear. Their eyes flickered strangely. Glances between them carried hidden meaning, and laughter sounded hollow. Researchers noted a tension in the air, a quiet unease that seemed to emanate from the prisoners themselves. By the second day, insomnia had begun its insidious work. Eyes reddened, movements became jerky, and conversation fragmented. Hallucinations appeared. Walls seemed to breathe, shadows moved independently, and whispers echoed where no sound should exist. The researchers recorded each observation clinically, yet a gnawing fear took root among them. One scientist noticed that the prisoners were beginning to anticipate questions before they were asked, a disquieting awareness that seemed almost preternatural. By day 3, psychological deterioration became undeniable. Violence began to emerge, but it was calculated, not random. One prisoner began mutilating his own body, cutting his flesh yet claiming no pain. Another refused food, claiming it had been poisoned, while still maintaining a sharp, almost predatory intelligence. The researchers debated intervention. Some argued that the data was too valuable to end the experiment. Others feared what they had unleashed and quietly questioned their morality. By day 5, communication had broken down entirely. The prisoners whispered conspiracies to one another, strategizing in ways that baffled the researchers' attempts to sedate them. Failed chemical injections had no effect. Their movements became unnervingly precise, almost anticipatory, suggesting that sleep deprivation had awakened a form of heightened awareness or something darker. The chamber became a theater of horror. Blood smeared the walls, screams reverberated endlessly, and shadows appeared to move in response to the prisoners' actions. The scientists documented it all, but many began to hear things themselves, whispers, faint footsteps, and voices calling their names from the corners of the chamber. Fear began to infiltrate their minds, undermining the detachment necessary for observation. By day 7, the prisoners had transformed. Their bodies were emaciated, faces twisted, eyes burning with terrifying clarity. One researcher attempted to intervene, entering the chamber cautiously, only to be met with premeditated aggression. The men anticipated every move, taunting and mocking with intelligence that chilled him to the bone. Over the next several days, hallucinations intensified. The prisoners claimed to see figures beyond the walls, entities they described in terrifying detail. Researchers began to question reality itself. Was the gas affecting the observers too? Shadows seemed to move independently, and the hum of machinery sounded like whispers. Sleep deprived and terrified, even the scientists began to feel the mental strain, caught in a psychological web spun by the prisoners' descent into madness. By day 10, the experiment was spiraling completely out of control. The prisoners' intelligence remained intact, but their humanity was almost gone. They coordinated attacks, mutilated themselves with precision, and communicated in cryptic ways that the researchers could not interpret. The chamber had become a nightmare ecosystem, a world unto itself governed by terror, calculation, and insanity. As the days stretched into the second week, the prisoners' voices shifted. They no longer spoke merely to each other. They addressed the researchers directly, mocking, threatening, and questioning their intentions. One researcher began to panic, realizing the experiment had become a dialogue between terror and human curiosity. Another quietly noted that sleep deprivation had unlocked not just madness, but a terrifying form of cognition, a mind operating at the edge of humanity, yet still horrifyingly intelligent. By the 15th day, only fragments of their former selves remained, Bodies were grotesque, twisted from starvation and mutilation. Yet they continued to resist sleep, their minds active, aware, calculating. Researchers began to record their own fears, hallucinations, and confusion. Some questioned whether they were truly observing an experiment or trapped inside one themselves. The prisoners spoke increasingly of outside entities, conspiracies, and horrors that seemed impossible to verify. Reality blurred. Some whispered that the researchers themselves were now part of the experiment, unwilling participants in a theater of horror beyond comprehension. By the 20th day, the chamber was unrecognizable. Blood, excrement, and bodily fluids coated every surface. The prisoners' behavior was no longer human in appearance, yet frighteningly intelligent. They anticipated interventions, coordinated complex movements, and communicated silently with a disturbing level of awareness. Finally, the experiment was terminated. The chamber was stormed. Survivors were sedated, or what remained of them. Many researchers were traumatized, some resigned immediately, and a few vanished without explanation. Records were destroyed, the facility erased from maps, leaving only whispers and rumors. But the story endured, whispered among those who knew. The Russian sleep experiment became legend, a cautionary tale of ambition without morality, of curiosity that turned into obsession, and of the darkness that emerges when the mind is deprived of its most fundamental need, sleep. Sleep is universal and essential. Deny it long enough, and identity fractures, perception distorts, and humanity itself can be lost. The prisoners' final acts remain shrouded in mystery. Some claim they transformed into something beyond comprehension. Others believe they died, leaving behind only horror and warning. The psychological scars haunted survivors, both prisoners and researchers alike. Nightmares, hallucinations, and paranoia persisted for decades. Sleep, once a comfort, became a reminder of the fragile line between sanity and oblivion. Today, the Russian sleep experiment is a chilling legend. It is a reminder of the limits of endurance, the consequences of cruelty, and the moral responsibilities inherent in scientific curiosity. It is a story that lingers in nightmares, in whispers, and in the darkest shadows of human history, questioning the boundaries of human endurance and the darkness that lies within the human mind. When deprived of rest. As the days dragged on, the chamber became a crucible of madness. The prisoners no longer acted like men. They moved with a predatory awareness, whispering secrets to one another, plotting unseen strategies, and laughing in ways that chilled the researchers. To their core, their eyes burned with a strange, unnatural light, reflecting a mind stretched beyond human limits. Shadows on the walls seemed to respond to them, and the sound of dripping water echoed like the ticking of a clock, counting down to something inevitable. The researchers, initially detached, began to feel the oppressive weight of the room, the subtle sense that the prisoners were aware of their thoughts, predicting every movement, every word. Self-mutilation became ritualistic, almost artistic, in its precision, yet terrifying in its intent. Each moment of silence was heavier than the last, a prelude to the screams that shattered the air. Sleep deprivation had unlocked something ancient and primal within the human psyche, a darkness that no one could have imagined, a force that was intelligent, cunning, and terrifyingly alive. The experiment was no longer science. It had become a living nightmare, a study in the uncharted territories of human endurance, fear, and cruelty. In that chamber, time seemed to bend, reality fractured, and humanity itself was stripped away, leaving only the raw, unrelenting essence of terror and madness.